An old woman in a wedding dress rides a hotel escalator with a red diary pressed tight to her chest, like she is holding the last piece of her life. As her strength fades, quick flashes hit us of her younger self walking into that same hotel on her wedding day, full of hope, beside her new husband. Then the story cuts away. Carlos arrives back at his apartment expecting a normal night, but the second he steps inside, something is off. His younger brother Oliver is shaken, barely able to speak, and instead of answering Carlos, he keeps apologizing, like he has already ruined everything. Carlos tries to calm him down. He says things might finally get better because their mother helped them with money, meaning they do not have to get involved in stupid, dangerous things anymore. But before Oliver can explain, a voice comes from inside the apartment. A detective named Marco steps out with a gun. He says Oliver confessed after being pressured and threatened, and now he wants to drag both brothers to the station. Carlos asks for a warrant. Marco does not have one, but he still forces it, and everything snaps into chaos. Carlos and Oliver fight him and bolt for the stairwell. Carlos grabs his bag on the way out, instinct saying they may need whatever is inside. Marco chases, and in the struggle his gun goes off. The shot tears into Carlos's leg and drops him hard on the stairs. Marco looks stunned, like his hand fired before his brain caught up. For a second, even Marco looks confused, almost offended by what he has done. Oliver wants to go after him right there, but the gun keeps them in line. Then a loud explosion echoes from far away. No help, just silence. Carlos is bleeding badly, so Oliver ties his hoodie around the wound and shouts for anyone to answer. Nobody does, and still nobody answers back. Furious and terrified, he wants to go after Marco, but Marco keeps the gun on them and forces both brothers to keep moving. They head downward, thinking the first floor has to be close. It never comes. The numbers keep changing. The doors stay locked and the stairs just keep going. Marco rushes ahead, checking landings and floor numbers, convinced there has to be an exit somewhere below. But after running like a madman, he ends up right back where he started, back with the brothers, only now he has returned from above. At first, nobody wants to believe it. Carlos blames blood loss. Marco blames the brothers. Oliver only watches Carlos. Then Marco does a simple test. He drops his keys into the open center of the stairwell. Instead of falling forever, the keys come back from above and land near them. The truth becomes impossible to ignore. They are trapped inside a loop. The building gives them almost nothing. A vending machine, some drinks, cheap snacks, stairs that go nowhere, doors that never open. Oliver checks his phone. No signal. He screams for help, but the stairwell swallows his voice and gives him nothing back. Carlos is in terrible shape. Oliver wants to remove the bullet, but Carlos refuses. This is not the time to gamble. Marco smashes the vending machine open with a fire extinguisher so they can get water, and Oliver uses some to clean the wound as best he can. Hours pass, and that is where the real horror starts. Not with monsters, not with noise, just with time. Time to think, time to panic, time to realize nobody is coming. Marco begins to crack. He stares at a photo of his family and talks about how he was supposed to be celebrating his anniversary, instead of being stuck in this nightmare. Weird details keep surfacing. A tiny toy car in his wallet, loose hairs on his clothes, like the stairwell is quietly messing with all of them. He gives Carlos pills to ease the pain. Once Carlos drifts off, Marco and Oliver sit in that dead space, forced into a conversation neither wants. Oliver makes it clear, if Carlos dies, he will never forgive Marco. By the next day, Carlos is barely hanging on. His body is shutting down, and he knows it. In his final moments, he tells Oliver something simple and heartbreaking. Live. Actually live. Value your life. Then Carlos dies in his brother's arms. Oliver breaks. He grabs Marco's gun and almost ends it, but Marco calms him down just enough to stop him. Then Marco notices something that makes the whole situation even worse. The vending machine has fully restocked itself, as if the loop reset its supplies, as if this place expects them to stay. The film shifts to a different story, but the feeling is the same. In another part of the city, a family is preparing for a road trip. Daniel is a smart, quiet boy. His little sister Camilla is playful and fragile, and she depends on an inhaler because of her asthma. Their mother Sandra is rushing everyone to get ready, and Roberto, her partner, is trying hard to act like a normal, reliable father figure. He wants the kids to trust him, and Sandra does not fully trust him. They hit the road to visit the children's biological father. Early on, small signs say something is off. A strange piece of bamboo appears in the car for no clear reason. Roberto tosses it away. Daniel keeps to himself. Camilla holds her inhaler like it is everything. At a gas station, Roberto tries to bond with Camila and offers her a sip of his drink, forgetting or ignoring that sugar is bad for her. She gives him her inhaler to hold while she heads to the bathroom, and for a brief moment it feels like she trusted him. That trust lasts minutes. Back on the road, Camila starts having trouble breathing. Sandra panics. Roberto reaches for the inhaler, but he drops it, steps on it, and crushes it. Now the one thing Camila needed most is gone. Sandra unloads on Roberto, and this time he earned it. They decide to turn back and get the spare inhaler from home, but then they hear a distant explosion, the same eerie kind from Carlos's story. They return to the gas station hoping for help, but the place is empty. Nobody. Sandra grabs some allergy medicine and they keep driving, desperate for any solution. That is when their road stops behaving like a road. They pass a sign, then a gas station, then the same sign again, then the same station again. At first it feels like a mistake, then a coincidence, then something worse. Roberto notices it first, but soon Daniel sees it too. The car clock in Roberto's watch insists it is late, but the sun is still hanging in the sky like the day refuses to move. Meanwhile, Camila is getting worse by the minute. Sandra turns frantic with every loop. She keeps yelling at Roberto, throwing his past mistakes in his face, repeating things her ex once said about him. Roberto is confused, ashamed, close to tears. Daniel tries to calm everyone down, but he is just a kid stuck in an adult nightmare. Roberto finally stops and says he is going on foot through the fields to find help another way. He walks off into the rough land beside the road, while Sandra, running on fear alone, jumps into the driver's seat and speeds off with the kids. Daniel warns her it is a bad idea. She does not listen. She drives faster, slapping herself, repeating the same words like a broken prayer. Wake up, Sandra. Wake up. This is a dream. But the road does not wake her up. It keeps feeding her the same sign, the same station, the same endless stretch of nowhere. Daniel realizes his mother is losing control. When the car briefly stops, he gets out with Camila in his arms. Sandra is so deep in her breakdown that she drives off without noticing her children are no longer inside the car. Now, Daniel is alone with his little sister, carrying her back toward the road sign while their mother keeps looping through hell. She keeps looping through the same stretch like the world is playing with her, and the fear in her voice turns into pure exhaustion. Eventually, Sandra reaches the gas station again, goes inside and collapses, crying because she finally understands the truth. This is not a delay. This is not bad luck. Something has trapped them. And just like Carlos, Oliver, and Marco in that endless stairwell, they are stuck inside a place that refuses to let them leave. Back on the road, Daniel lies beside Camila and waits for her to open her eyes again. She never does. A little later, Roberto returns from the fields, looking defeated. He does not bring help or hope. He only confirms the truth Daniel was already fearing. There is no way out. The fields loop too. The road loops. Everything loops. Then the film makes one of its hardest turns. Time passes. 35 years. On the staircase, Oliver and Marco are still alive. The place has aged them, but it has not let them die. Marco is now a broken old man who can barely move without help. Oliver is older too, surviving on routine, discipline, and stubbornness. Because the loop resets supplies every day, Carlos's bag keeps duplicating its contents, and the vending machine keeps filling up again and again. Oliver turns that cruel miracle into a system. Storage, a rough shower made from water bottles, and a dump of trash, notes, and the leftovers of a life nobody was meant to live in a stairwell. He builds little zones in that endless concrete. A place to sleep, a place to eat, a place to remember. The loop keeps giving, so Oliver keeps taking, turning repetition into survival. Carlos is still with them too, at least what is left of him. His remains lie on one landing, and Oliver's mind has bent around that pain in unsettling ways. Sometimes he treats the skeleton like a shrine. Sometimes he talks to it like Carlos is still listening. He and Marco cover the walls with marks, names, dates, reminders, anything to hold on to who they are before the years erase it. Carlos's bones become part of that routine. Some days, Oliver sits beside them like he is praying. Other days, he argues with the dead, like grief still needs an audience. Marco fights that erasure hardest. He whispers his own name under his breath so it stays real, and he keeps calculating ages in his head. His, Oliver's, his wife's, his daughter's, like numbers can protect him from becoming nobody. On the road, those same 35 years have passed for Daniel, Sandra, and Roberto. Their survival looks different. The gas station resets food and supplies, so Daniel builds a life out in the open. A camp, routines, ways to cook, collect water, and stay alive. Lonely and strange, but he adapts better than the others. His camp slowly expands. He rigs shade, makes a fire pit, marks days on metal, and learns which supplies will reset and which will not. Roberto and Sandra do not. They stay near the car by the road sign, and time crushes them. Roberto becomes a tired wreck, drifting through the same misery. Sandra fades until she barely speaks, barely seems present, like the loop is hollowing her out from the inside. Daniel, now grown, tries to stay sane. He listens to music, keeps old drawings, and throws each newly reset inhaler onto a growing pile. Every fresh inhaler proves the loop can replace the object, but not the moment that mattered. He keeps the inhaler pile visible on purpose, a growing monument to one mistake that cannot be undone. One day, Roberto finds Camila's old toy and leaves it near Daniel's camp. That small gesture brings them together again. Daniel goes to him, and Roberto tries to speak like there is something he has needed to say for years, but the words keep slipping away. He keeps circling the same sentences, like the loop has trained his brain to walk in circles too. At the same time on the staircase, Marco suddenly shouts for Oliver in the middle of the night. Something has clicked. Oliver comes down exhausted, and Marco says he remembers everything and knows he does not have much time left. Oliver carries him to the wall packed with years of notes and memories. Marco drops the truth. Marco is not who he really is. His real name is Daniel, the same boy from the road who lost Camila and grew old under that endless sun. Oliver is stunned because it makes no sense at first, but the truth lands like a nightmare that suddenly explains every strange thing we have seen. Almost at the same moment, Sandra finally dies on the road. Roberto buries her beside Camila, and Roberto gets that same terrible clarity. Just like Marco, he can see the pattern right before death. Both old men finally understand what this place is. The loops are not their real lives. They are twisted offshoots, broken parallel versions born from a tragic moment. A death starts the incident, and survivors are trapped inside a false reality that feeds on suffering, regret, and everything they cannot let go of. Marco tells Oliver that when he was Daniel, Roberto warned him, "Remember your real name and do not enter the police car when it appears." But he forgot, stepped into it anyway, and began a new life as Detective Marco with no memory of the road or who he used to be. Roberto says it happened to him too. His real name is not Roberto. It is Ruben. As a child, he was trapped in another incident on a bamboo raft with a teacher after an accident killed another boy. Before that loop ended, the teacher told him about yet another endless trap from an earlier life. The curse passes forward like a chain, one incident leading into another, each one building a new prison when the warning is ignored. That is why both men beg Daniel and Oliver not to repeat what they did. Write down your names, hold on to who you are, and when the moment comes, do not step into the next life waiting for you. Marco warns Oliver about an elevator that will appear. Roberto warns Daniel about a police car. Same message. The first time, you are the victim. The next time, without knowing it, you become the one who starts the next loop. It gets darker. The younger person inside each incident survives better, because they are still moving forward. The older person fades faster because they are stuck in the past. Marco and Roberto believe the pain in these false worlds somehow feeds the better, real versions of themselves elsewhere. Before dying, they leave behind a small red diary filled with reminders and hard-earned wisdom. Their last attempt to leave something behind that the reset cannot erase. Names, warnings, sketches, fragments of the truth. Then, both old men are gone. Daniel stands there with everything finally explained, and Oliver is left alone on the stairs with the truth he begged for. For a while, it feels like the cycle can be broken. Daniel sees the police car appear, exactly as warned. He checks it, grabs a few belongings, and tries to do this with purpose. But the second he touches the vehicle, his memory disappears. The warning is gone. The road is gone. Camila is gone. He drives toward the city to begin a new life, as Marco, unknowingly sending the story back to the beginning and setting Carlos's death in motion again. Oliver's ending is crueler. After Marco dies, he keeps living by routine, by prayer, by habit. But eventually the elevator appears where it should not exist. A door in the stairwell, a chance to leave, or what looks like one. Oliver knows the warning. He knows he should stay away, but 35 years of isolation breaks him. So he steps inside. His identity disappears, and he starts a new life as Carl, a hotel bellhop. Soon, a newlywed couple enters the elevator. He acts normal, professional, and with one tiny action, triggers the next incident without understanding it. The groom is stung, disaster follows, and the bride becomes the next person trapped in the cycle. Which brings us back to the old woman in the wedding dress. She was never random. She was one more victim in the chain. And somewhere in that hotel, the diary will wait for the next trapped soul, the only proof this horror ever had rules. Nobody escapes this nightmare by accident at all anymore. They either die knowing the truth or forget it, step forward and build the next hell for someone else.